Hi, HCA IBY2 parents. This is Nicole Vaughn back again. I had many of your sons and daughters during their sophomore year, and here I am again as their senior year for IB2. Welcome back. I'm really excited to have your son or daughter again this year, and if I didn't have them sophomore year, I'm super excited to have them for their senior year. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is just giving you a glimpse of what school looks like for students while also talking you through some of the stuff that they're going to be learning this year and guide you through what the course looks like this year as well. What we're going to start off with is a warm-up activity, and then I'm going to talk about the roots of the IB course. I'm going to give you an overview of what the year looks like and what we'll be analyzing and reading, and then hopefully this will provide you with a preview for the year, and you will experience an abbreviated version of how students experience this class. And hopefully you leave with a sense of relief and maybe even a little bit of comfort, knowing that the distance learning is going to be something that students are going to easily adapt to. At the end, I'm going to ask you to complete a Google form as your assessment for today. So this is a kickoff. This is something that students would start class with. They would look at the image and they would either think and turn and talk with their partner, or because they don't have that opportunity now, they would have a moment to just jot down some notes in response to the two questions that are on the screen. So the first question, can you describe the origins, so the places, the events, and also the motivations of these images, and also be able to describe what is similar and also what is different. And hopefully they would be able to conclude that there is a protest that is happening. So as an extension, I would add on, what is implied about protest through these photos? Hopefully the students would come up with these ideas about how there is a sense of struggle or danger, how the people who usually protest are much younger, also how maybe the things that are not pictured are really important to the picture, so thinking about the motivations that are not pictured, also thinking about any organization that had to happen in order to make these people be able to congregate in this way. All of those things, I would hope that the students would come to a conclusion while looking at these photos, but also being guided along the way by their peers and also me. So a little bit about me as a teacher. This is my 8th year teaching at Sequoia, but my 11th year teaching in total. I spent my first 3 years teaching at Terra Nova in Pacifica after I graduated from Chico State with my credential in my single subject credential in English. I went to Chico State and double majored in English and Spanish. I'm from a super small town in Northern California called Orville. I put a photo of me and my parents. I'm adopted. Those are my two parents. And as just a reminder of my parents were the support that really helped me throughout school from start to finish. And I know that your son or daughter appreciates you watching this video or even putting in the effort to support them in whatever ways that you can. Also pictured are the IB symbols because I am IB trained. It's a program that I really believe in. It's a curriculum that I feel like really challenges students, but also pushes them outside of their comfort zone in the most positive ways. And then also this Project Zero that I completed last year is a thinking tool that allows students to keep track of their thinking throughout their progress within a class. And that's through attempting to making their thinking visible along the way. So documenting everything that they think or they believe, and also looking back at all of those documentations and looking at how they might have changed or grown. So again, the International Baccalaureate has an international focus where we're thinking about how our experiences, our unique experiences here in the Bay Area, in California, in the United States, are unique to us, but also connect us to people from around the world. So there are 3 areas of exploration that serve as the root for the IB course. The first area is readers, writers, and text. And what that area does is it asks us as readers to explore what motivated the writers to create the text that we're analyzing. So thinking about the historical time period, the political movements, the social atmosphere, how did that influence the writer, and how do we as readers interpret that or understand that? Thinking about time and space, building on to that idea of readers, writers, and text, how do the specific things that writers write about in a time period, how do they transcend time? How do maybe things that have been written about centuries ago still connect to us today in the 21st century? And then lastly, intertextuality is thinking about if a text is made in a time period, many other people are at the same time are creating other things. While someone's writing a book, someone could be writing a song. And what is the intertextuality? What connects those two? What's similar and what's different? That's worthy of exploration and analysis. Some essential questions for the course include: how can art and creativity serve as catalysts for social and political change? What forms of protest do people embrace and with what effects? How do texts reflect, represent, or form cultural practices? So, again, all of these questions are rooted in this idea of protest and change, and they're also rooted in this idea of being able to connect our own personal development to what's happening in the world around us. So we're going to start the year off with a poetry unit with poems written by Sidney Sipo Sapamla. He's a South African poet who was writing during apartheid. We're going to look at this through the lens as literature as the voice for the oppressed, and it builds on the summer reading that students completed where they read Trevor Noah's memoir, Born a Crime, of his retelling of childhood stories of what it was like for him growing up in apartheid South Africa. And this is an example of intertextuality. So Sapamla's poems are very serious. They serve as a form of protest to apartheid, whereas Trevor Noah's stories are playful and fun. They're meant to entertain the reader. And so this very sensitive issue, or not sensitive issue, but serious issue of apartheid, how it's treated in very different ways, yet still there are these ties that connect them. Next, we're going to be reading the book called The Thief and the Dogs by Naguib Mahfouz. So Mahfouz was an Egyptian writer, and he was actually awarded the Nobel Prize. And he writes a lot about what it's like to be a very religious person living in these existential moments within Egypt. So he does that with this book by creating a character who is newly freed from prison. And even though he is physically free, he's very much imprisoned to his own thoughts. And so he goes through his life trying to explore what is he really, how much free will does he really have within the society that he exists in, and how much of it is on him individually in his own head, and how much of it is because society has labeled him a criminal and has kept him incarcerated in his mind because of that. The last book that we're going to read is Beloved by Toni Morrison, which is about a woman who has escaped slavery, and in order to prevent her children from being taken back into slavery once she's found, she murders her young child. And the main character, Setha, has to deal with the haunting of that moment throughout the whole novel. And so we're going to be investigating these conversations around ethics and morals within the United States, thinking about those areas of exploration. How do people within a time period maybe rationalize what's right and what's wrong? And how do we as readers years later look at what has happened and label it as being ethically and morally incorrect, even though it was socially acceptable at that time? We're going to do this through a lens of American history and also thinking about modern American music and art, and looking at current books that have been written, like Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, and also thinking about current music like hip hop. Kendrick Lamar is pictured there, as well as Beyonce, how their music is the ultimate expression of Black joy and pain and liberation. So down to the nuts and bolts of this, if you look at the slide, it's an overview of what grading looks like in this class. The big bulk of their grade is going to be dedicated towards them completing essays, projects, and also completing tests and quizzes. It's 90% of their grade, where homework and classwork is going to be 10% of their grade. All assignments are going to be graded using a 4-point scale, 4 being an A, 0 being an F, and there's going to be corresponding rubrics that go along with this. And as students are assessed within Canvas and assessments are posted online, you will be able to see the rubrics to see how they're being assessed. Similarly, or in according with the 4-point scale, the grade book is going to be broken down in a different way for the total grade scale. So an A is going to be 80 to 100%, a B is going to be 60 to 79.9%, etc., as it goes down. So each 20% bracket of the 100% grade scale is going to be dedicated towards one letter grade. Lastly, I wanted to give you a snapshot of what Canvas modules look like. So every week I'm going to post a module in the modules tab, and it's going to be labeled by the week and also the date. Within the module, there's everything that a student needs for the whole week. So I put the slideshow, I put links to resources, and I also put assignments. So if you take a look at the slide where it says here cultural artifact presentation, you see directly underneath it, there's a date and also a point value. That's how you know that that is an assignment that needs to be completed. So I also put the slide deck in there for kids to be able to reference in case they miss a class period, or maybe they forgot what the instructions were. Everything is included within that slide deck as well. This is an overview of what you might look at when you go into Canvas to look at your son or daughter's grades. And I just want to go over some of the keys. So if there is this red stamp that says missing, that means that they have not turned in the work. It also means that it has not been graded yet. So maybe there's still an opportunity for them to turn in that work to make it not missing. If what you see in Canvas looks like this bottom assignment, that means that they may have submitted the work, but it has not been graded yet, but the work is definitely not missing. So those are some key labels that you should be looking for when you go into Canvas and look at the grades. Lastly, I just want to talk to you about contacting me. Communication is key. It really is. Nothing's too big or too small for you to be able to talk about with me. I don't have the opportunity to check in face-to-face with students, so encourage them to reach out and email me if they have any questions, if they say they're confused, if you know that they need help. If you email me directly, either through my school email or you email me through Canvas, I promise a response within 24 hours. I also encourage you to check Canvas and also Infinite Campus for attendance. And I just want to end by thanking you for being here this evening. You're appreciated, even if your son or daughter might not tell you that. And I also appreciate you attending this evening too. The last thing before we go is that there's an exit ticket that I would like you to complete. The link is in the Canvas homepage, and it says a Google form for you to complete. That's just you checking in, answering a few questions to let me know if you have any feedback, if you have any questions. I also have a question in there about your son or daughter as well. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good night.